evening, fans of Free Enterprise, and welcome to tonight's Community Raid. I am Baka Shinobi, and I am joined by Hupfin. Hupfin, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. I feel like I had to come in and commentate this week. This being one of the push B to jump weeks. There's plenty of hopping going about.
Yeah, we'll be hopping all over the places. With Push B to Jump, we have the ability to, well, jump on the overworld, in towns, even in battle if you're not Kane. So we'll get to go and see a lot of neat things going on. But we're not going to be able to do some of the really pleasant things, as they've been designed to make you go and really have to do the things you like to skip. We have 4 statics, where one is the Ribbon Altar, the second is Trade the Rat Tail, the third is Music, and the fourth is Sealed Cave, which you can often skip with this Push Me to Jump flag, or at least for most of those, so our runners will have to go and do them honestly today. And we're starting with Tella. How do you feel about this start?
Well, Tella can be an interesting character. He's certainly got a reputation. But if you manage to find that Darkness Crystal, get up to the Giant, his value becomes a lot more apparent. He is the cornerstone of one of the strongest grinds that this game has to offer.
Indeed, with the D-Machine grind, it is definitely very helpful from very low levels to very high levels very quickly and safely, thanks to some, it's a vanilla strategy for grinding in the No 64 speedrun, where we go and summon some D-Machine, well, we find a specific fight, summon up the monsters there and fight a bunch of D-Machines who, if you only go and let them attack, they'll only do percentile damage, and they're not immune to weak, so Tella can go and really show his stuff. But we might go and have... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that grind is usually pretty valuable when you're doing Push B to Jump, because you're probably fighting a lot fewer bosses than you would otherwise. And of course, we set up this week's objective set to specifically prevent you from doing that. So this grind might be slightly less valuable depending on how things shake out.
That's true. We do have S Wild shops, which, well, that means anything can be in the shops. You can go and find little meat bells all the way up to adamant armors. The question is, how are you going to afford it? Because the treasures are standard. So you're going to need to go and find some good ways to make some money, or you're going to need to really scrimp and save, because as often said, you're not going to be fighting a lot, so you're not going to be getting a lot of money that way.
Yeah, something that will... Go ahead.
I was going to ask, how would you go and approach your early game here?
I feel like I would take a pretty standard looting start, going up and hitting the Damsian treasure chests. I would probably jump over and get the character out of the Eblin Cave. One of the reasons that, the reason that we have the Rat Tail as an objective is that otherwise you can get into the underground without the hook at all. And we want you to actually have to have the hook. But even with that, you can still go and get that character. That's essentially free. And that helps make up for, if you have a rough start, like a Tella.
Very true. And I see we are starting now. So let's see who Tella's starting this adventure off with. Rosa is one of those I like to see. She is the best white mage in the game by many standards. Though I guess Fu could go and give her a run for her money.
Yeah, and also a strong starting archer, and that package is, it's a vanilla item and a check, I suppose.
Yeah, as you said, you can go and check a character spot right away, and we do have C relaxed on, so you don't need a gated spot to fight Edge and Fusoya. But free checks are free checks. Fusoya is a really, very big pickup, so we'll see how our runners approach this.
Yeah, but you will not be terribly concerned about a D-Mist hiding behind that package, as we do have the free item. So as long as our runners remember that that is the case, we'll probably see a few visits, just like Poydrak is doing right now. Head over, talk to Eddie, and see what you got there.
Definitely a very good thing to go. And Poydrak showing off that, yes, this is also a talking frog of Final Fantasy IV. And Harump showing that we get the Sand Ruby from Eddie, so even more characters to start with. We can definitely fill out our team pretty easily.
And we are seeing a lot of the small optimizations that Push B to Jump offers you. Dark Kobold hopping over the down Damsian guard. Just avoid that conversation, make that go a little bit faster. And of course, we have been seeing a little bit of looting inside of Baron.
Yep, this is S standard, so that's not like S Pro or excuse me, T Pro or T Wild, so it's not going to go and let you avoid everything, but I think we might be avoiding the Baron Inn, as that's the gauntlet guarding a Palom.
Yeah, I mean, a Quake Kid is good, but is it all Gauntlet good right now?
Especially since you're going to get those all gauntlet with the current party members, though not for long, as there's a Fasolia in the bed by that free Sand Ruby, so everyone who goes and checks Bedward, who is clearly going to be everyone and not people forgetting that there's a free key item in this game and you can just go and get it right away, like I would.
Or I would.
Yeah, there's a hazard of playing with no free key items for too long, and that's it. You kind of forget the possibility of D-Mist ever not having a key item.
And Harump checks Fu's spell set, not terribly strong on the outset. That list is weighted so that the better spells are more towards the end, but even out of the gate, you could roll a little better than that.
On the bright side, he does start at level 50 with level 50 stats, so even if he isn't mage, a level 50 mage is still pretty good in the early game for just bonking things.
As is, I suppose, a vanilla antlion when you've got a Stardust on hand, as Dark Kobold is taking on that fight and making some decent headway.
Yeah, taking on with the aim strategies to avoid counters from the vanilla counterattack, which only reacts to the fight command, not any physical attack command. So going to get through this, but it is going to take a bit of time, which Poydrak is not going to spend going and looting Caitlyn and checking to see what's in there, finding some nice stuff in the shops, but also faces the question, how do I afford it?
Yeah, it's always lovely to see apples, but those things are gold. Where are you going to get that kind of scratch?
And these aren't apple seeds where every money just grows on trees. We see some watery path looting on Harump, so that's with the push B to jump flag, you can go and get around a bit more easily, so that goes and saves you a bit of time and just wandering around and trying to get these chests and walking out, and you have to tell it to exit, so that might save you a bit of time as well.
Yeah, but Dark Kobold has been taking that more standard approach, and it has paid off with an Earth Crystal already. So that is 2 boss fights and 2 characters and a key item and a treasury, for that matter. And you don't have to jump to make any of it pay off.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Poydrak is showing us some more vanilla, or potential vanilla. Would like to inform everybody that Dathis did not roll this seed. This was taken care of by Valveless Skunk, our restreamer this evening.
apparently Valvelous Skunk has been going and getting into the vanilla scenting scene at least. Yeah, Edge, that is a Fasolia available. I wonder when Poydrak is going to go and check that Fasolia, because I don't believe he's gone to Kaipo yet. But he is going and looks like making his way underground, so might not need the hook for this, but he might need it somewhere.
Yeah, we'll definitely need it for the rat tail, but we have no idea where it's going to be. We do know that the logic doesn't expect you to use push B to jump to sequence break or anything, so it's not like the hook is going to be behind the hook, as it were.
And Poydrak is showing off that there's a door by the Falcon Hanger that if you use it, you get to go and change the tiles a little bit. Excuse me, that's a crystal room. Poydrak's showing off.
Yeah, just having some fun with this flag set.
Coffee and Chocobos is also making way into Cave Eblin, finding that edge, while Dark Kobold I believe, finish looting the Toria Treasury and is going to be off to their next location while going through Cave Evelyn. And Podrak going and getting underground at the time of 6 minutes and 40 seconds, a time that make you jealous on a normal hook seed. But this is push speed to jump, so it's hard to go and call that normal.
And already it's proving kind of interesting. We have those runners going through Eblin Cave. Clearly they are using push B to jump to its fullest. Dark Kobold has been playing it kind of straight, and yet has an Earth Crystal and a Fu. It's like, you're not punished for not taking full advantage. Although I say that, I think Dark Kobold hasn't gotten Fu yet, so my bad.
Yeah, I think Harumph picked up the Fusoya, but we haven't.
Does have the crystal, or the Sand Ruby rather, so can do it.
Yeah. As soon as he goes to Kaipo, he's going to go and have him. And as you said, Fusoya doesn't have a great spell list at the moment, so no big loss in not having him right now. As long as you get him after you get a few bosses under your belt, you're going to be in a good position. And Dark Kobold going straight up Zot, deciding to go, maybe he's kind of what characters are available here to see if he wants to go and do the fights, or if he's going to do something different.
Yeah, there is a little bit of soft lock risk in here with that Earth Crystal, getting the characters, fighting the bosses. You can mess up the order and cause a problem. So doing it all at once normally is actually a safe play here.
Yep. So I believe you can still safely skip the, they're skipping the Maga Sister fight. And seeing it's Edward, so I imagine there's a bit less incentive to go and actually do this. And Edward and Yang, Dark Kobold resetting out, deciding they just might not be worth it to Dark Kobold. If he wants to come back here for the key item, he'll have to go and rewalk the tower, but he does know that I don't need these characters. I'm not terribly keen on them. And going to Kaipo, we'll find that Fusoya, so we'll probably be a bit more keen on picking up some extra characters.
All I will say is the spoon flag is on. And Edward can be very valuable, and Tella can withstand lava, so good on him.
Look, I've heard rumors that certain old men enjoy hot bath, and maybe he's just getting his end for the day.
That's very hot, I want to point out.
Again, I've heard rumors that certain old men enjoy very hot baths. And we see, I mean, this is a pretty standard shop for S-Wild, but it's a real nice shop as well, with hours, cabins, life potions, star veils. This is definitely a good shop to find in Dwarf Castle. I am curious, our runners are going to go and see a lot of tantalizing gear. I wonder how many of them are going to make second trips back to go and pick it up. And that Golbez and Yang in the Fey Mart, that is power couple you didn't know you didn't want to see.
Yeah, that's a bit oof. Those spots have relatively strong magic and relatively strong physical, and they're fast for that matter. So those are some scary ones to have there.
Yeah, we could find a Cecil and make that Yang free, but we'd have to get some levels on the team to that Yang till he gets to the point where he's free.
Dark Kobold is hitting a free fight, finding the soldiers at the Demas spot, knocking it out with a single Gaia drum and getting some more spells and HP on Fu.
Yeah, and we see Coffee and Chocobos going down and heading up Fey March, and is going to be going up above ground, I believe. And I was mistaken, it was Coffee and Chocobos checking the Fey March while Podrak is heading down now. This is This is bringing up a point that I didn't really consider about push speed to jump. How good is Fusoya on these flags if you can skip so many bosses?
That is usually what makes food less valuable with push B to jump because you are skipping those. But with this objective set, that re-enables a couple of the bosses that you would be skipping normally. The ribbon altar, the sealed cave fight. So it kind of brings them back a little into balance. But even so, you are just doing fewer fights.
Yeah, because like you could skip the Mega Sisters fight in 2 fights and ordeals, which those are two locations you could definitely go and get a good number of fights apart for your food. But if you don't need to do them, that's time saved. And we do have Tella, and ordeals is a lot less painful on this push speed to jump because you can skip 2 of those fights and just go straight into the final fight in the crystal room, which is pretty easy. Do
Yeah.
you go and plan on dumping Fusoya for pretty much any other character?
I mean, to me, it partly depends on what his earlier spells are. If he's filling a magic niche that I need, I'll keep him around for sure. You know, if it's easier to just keep Fu around than go and deal with getting that Palom or picking up the Rydia that we saw and powering her up, then, you know, maybe. But so far, it feels like we've leaned more towards the mages on collecting characters so far, and certainly Dark Kobold has made choices to that end, giving up Edward and Yang earlier.
Which makes a lot of sense because, I mean, Young's kind of a mage by some arguments that I can't disagree with, as he's not very good early. He needs to go and get a bunch of levels in order to go and be able to do much. And he can't really scale well with equipment, which are all applied pretty well to mages. So Edge is the only character we found who can scale well with gear, and I don't know if we're finding much good gear for Edge.
No, we have been finding a few decent swords, but certainly no Masa or anything of that tier. Also worth mentioning, we did find the Luca key in the Feymarch free chest. That is one of the objective items that we do need, and that was just sitting out there in the open.
Definitely something I'm sure runners will be more than eager to check for their party of old men and casters. But yeah, now we see Coffee and Chocobos going into the Antlion Cave that Dark Kobold went to, while Dark Kobold is going up Mount Ordeals. Harump is going down to check the Sheila 1 check, and then I assume we'll go and do Pavul and the Sheila 1 check at the same time.
Yep, very easy seed to roll in Sheila 1 with your initial check, and only have to go there twice at most.
Indeed, this is going to be... I'll be curious to see if the pan shows up there, because then some runners will probably be a bit annoyed that they spent the time to go and walk down to Sylph Cave only to find that the pan was there. But percentage play, it's definitely better to run through Sylph Cave first if you can avoid it. Poor getting a little confused when they jump over the trickle tile, walk in there, and then walk back, though maybe Poydrak is just showing off even more things he can do with a push speed to jump.
I'll be honest at this point, I expect everything Poydrak is doing is showing off in one form or another.
Blame you. And we see from Dark Kobold is Kanaizo guarding the treasure at the Mount Ordeals, and that treasure is the Legend Sword. So, not a required item, but, you know, if you find an adamant is going to be very pleasant.
Yeah, given that it's less likely that we'll be able to find or buy an Excalibur on our own, being able to make one yourself is pretty nice. Or commission one.
Yeah, worst comes to worst, you also have Edge who can just go and say, I don't believe in holy swords, I believe in holy enemies.
Also worth pointing out that Legend Sword, again, vanilla. That is where you get it in normal game.
I feel like we have a very vanilla smelling Valval skunk today, though I'm starting to wonder if it's Stathis in disguise.
Well, hey, all of these vanilla item locations, but definitely some not so vanilla movement throughout the seed, and some not very vanilla routing and sequencing. So we still get that much, if nothing else.
Agreed. We get to go. We will not be bound by the shackles of vanilla here, it seems, in our movement at least.
Nor will Dark Kobold be shackled by the desires for Quake Kid. That is heading straight out of Baron. Not gonna bother. Or
And then
no, immediately proving me wrong. That's not commentators' curse. That's cursing commentators.
you need to get some experience on that Rydia, right? The Rydia that you're keeping. Rydia is not going to be gaining too many levels here, unfortunately.
I mean, hey, we did find a Sylph summon, so there's ways to make her valuable. But we have so many mages that I don't know if you keep her around, honestly.
Yeah, I think Dark Kobold is going to be killing enough bosses where Fusoya is going to be a very nice gate, because he's going to be at over 1,000 HP when Dark Kobold is done with these two bosses here. Meanwhile, we see Coffee and Choco is finishing up for Bull and getting the Magma Key, which that's definitely not something you really needed.
Extremely unnecessary on this seed. Does mean that logically you're expected to double or potentially triple dip Fabul.
Yep, it also means that the hook is not guaranteed to be overworld, which is something that we could have run into, where if Magma Key wasn't showing up overworld, it could have been the hook, which would probably save our runners a little bit of time and grief. But we also find that Sheila is giving out the spoon for just saying where her husband is today, rather than going and fulfilling the contract of reuniting Yang with his favorite pan.
So all of a sudden, that makes Edward look a bit more appealing. The spoon is by far the strongest weapon in the game, and in vanilla, it existed only to be thrown. But Edward is a spoony bard, so he should be able to wield it.
That is very true. But Edward is also really squishy, so you'd have to go and give him a fair amount of support in order to go and use him. I believe you have to get to something to get him to 1,000 HP, that is not an amount of time you really want to go and spend going and getting Edward up to just 1,000 HP.
Look, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm saying I support it.
That is... And speaking of fair, Coffee and Chocobo is choosing not to play fair and just skipping the bosses and our deals again, much like Dark Kobold. Going to go in there, going to get the Legend Sword, and going to go and deal with that Kanizo. Poydrak is right on their heels, while Dark Kobold, I believe, is just getting through that alt gauntlet now.
Yeah, and Harumph is taking that front fight at least, and finding Bahamut.
Bahamut's definitely not the worst boss to find, though not a very great boss to find with the level of spells that you have from Fusoya, but maybe that's exactly why Harumph is taking this fight. Go and power up Fusoya.
Could very well be. But he's pulling out at least one Star Veil, just to be safe.
And Poydrak is also doing this fight, which, again, is interesting because you can skip it, and Poydrak does not have Fusoya, so maybe it was just a misstep and Poydrak didn't go and skip the fight. And Dark Cobalt showing us that the second fight at Baron Inn is King Queen Evelyn, so you slog through that gauntlet, you at least don't have to worry about a cruel mercy of a Golbez or a Wyvern here. You just simply have to go and, well, be cruel to Edge's parents.
They're not in his party, so it's fine.
It's fine. Nothing to see here. No, Edge. We never saw your parents. Maybe we'll see
No,
them
haven't
somewhere
seen them.
else.
Yeah, we'll give you a call if we meet him.
Oh, and all of that for a glass hat. That's 2 fights for Fusoya to get Fusoya scaled up faster, but that is not something you like to see, I'm thinking. And Coffee struck with a very terrible decision of, do I leave that, abandon whatever key item it is, and come back? And choosing to, we know that it's a glass hat and they're going to be rewarded for that choice, but it is definitely a scary choice to leave such an early check.
Yeah, but instead he is showing that the trigger for the Beigen spot is actually over in the hall to the left. So if you jump over and walk through the front doors, you're just straight to the throne, where Cecil has usurped it.
Cecil decided, no, I'm not delivering the package. You're delivering the package today. I thought I told you to deliver the package. Go deliver the package.
Fair point, we still haven't delivered the package.
Look, we're terrible at our job. We skip everything. It's hard to believe we'd be skipping out on our job.
I feel so bad for the reputation of the Baron Postal Service.
I mean, considering they're supposed to be, they're sending out an old man and the usurper king's girlfriend, I think they might go and have a bit of nepotism going on there.
I don't have a way to make a joking transition, but hey, there's Kate.
Kane wholeheartedly approves of how we deal with the Cecil situation.
There we go.
He couldn't get into our party fast enough. He really jumped on that opportunity. What we see on the way to the Baron Pot Caliber, so
There we go.
not a really rewarding Baron for the current team. Maybe Cecil's going to be somewhere else. Maybe Cecil was really going and getting anxious about the fact to go and use that amazing. There's a lot of things that have been going on for Cecil today. This is definitely not something we're going to answer to. That does bring us up to a good point, as where is Cecil? We have checked the hook, that is Edge. We have not checked the package, which with Excalibur maybe you're tempted to, but that would be a very long commitment for someone who can just use an overpowered sword. We've seen the Sand Ruby, which is Fusoya. The Tower of Zot gives us both Edward and Yang. The Baron Key gave us that Cane. And I believe the last key item gated spot is Darkness Crystal, which would be the Moon and Giant. And we have not seen Porum, Cecil, or one other character I can't remember. Sid.
Yeah. We also have not gone to Dwarf Castle, so that's the missing piece of that puzzle.
Right, and we do have one.
Yeah. We are low for opportunities. Where is that guy?
You know, it's be crashing in the giant, trying to go and see if there's a way to go and avoid having to face what he did to his father. And Dark Kobold is now going and taking their trip underground. Ironically, the only thing here overworld was Wool Castle, which would have their access underground. So they're just going to go and skip past that and go through the cave and just grab all the treasures they can here, it seems.
Yeah, everyone has been looting this cave and ignoring the fact that there is a trap chest here. And I feel like everyone's gotten off scot-free. But that is a risk.
The first chest of the cave. So everyone's going in there, checking the loot, finding the trap chest, and then, well, I don't need to play games to see where it is. I can just reset and skip everyone except for the very first.
And they're doing it so quickly, I don't even notice it. When it's the very first one, it's easy to do fast.
Oh yeah, it's very easy to go and miss that. Our runners are very quick in being pretty diligent at just hitting things before we can go and notice them going on. When Poydrak is choosing to do Baron in and is not really going to be rewarded for it, as we know it's just a Palom and a glass hat.
Well, who knows? Maybe he wants the Quake Kid.
I mean, I like the Quake Kid well enough, but I don't know if I like the Quake Kid bad enough to go and do the Gauntlet.
That is fair. At least a number of runners on our screen have done the Gauntlet, so it's not much time lost relative to them. We do have almost 30 runners this evening, though. So there's plenty of people off stream who very well could have faded this and come out ahead as a result.
Indeed. With the community races, it is not just the runners running here, it is open to everyone on the Free Enterprise Discord. So if you're watching this thinking, hey, this looks kind of fun and want to join in, feel free to come along to the Free Enterprise Discord and we will go and have weekly races. We have one race Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we have a second weekly race at Friday 10 p.m. Eastern. There are also a number of clubs that go and run a variety of the same flag sets week to week. So if you're seeing some of this and want to go and join us, come on down to the Free Enterprise Discord.
So it looks like Coffee and Chocobos has gone up Zot and has decided to take the characters up here. Just the Edward, as it turns out. I feel like a lot of runners would do the opposite, but hey, you got that spoon and gonna make use of it.
No punch mace for this team. I will admit I'm surprised Tella and Kusoya in the party, but maybe Tella is a security against Kusoya learning weak as his, say, 14th level spell or 14th unlock. Oh, we have a vanilla Valvalis. Are we going to see some push speed to jump? Coffee and Chocobos is going and using the aim command. We are seeing the flying.
Come all and witness the great and magnificent flying mop. There's a reason I don't work in circuses.
I mean, I'd go and pay to see a flying mop. It'd be pretty interesting. Unless it's a Roomba with a helicopter and a few wet dangles. That'll be a bit less amused.
Actually, I would still be amused by that, but for different reasons.
You know, I really can't disagree on that front. And Coffee and Choco is showing off what you kind of mean when you don't go and leave her spinning, because when she's spinning, she predictably goes punches, does weaken ray, punches, does weaken ray. When she's not spinning, she just punches a whole bunch, and those punches can kind of hurt.
And speaking of kinda hurt, Dark Kobold has found the D-Lunars. Those are not the friendliest of enemies.
D-Lunar's on the top of Tower of lower babble, so they're also not going to go and punch that nicely and have a good amount of HP. You can just stall them out long enough if you can go and wait through their punches and fires and put up some star bells and get a reflected toad strat. But that might be a bit, and the rest of the party is not handling it very well.
Now Fu is trying to talk some lunar sense into them. And it's kind of working, I guess.
Turns out they'll listen to moon logic. And down goes the D Lunars, but the rest of the party not getting any experience. And there is a required twin harp at the top of the Tower of Lower Babel. So we don't have a tower key around. That might keep our other runners away from it. And that could give Dark Kobold an advantage, particularly if that tower key leads to a twin harp leads to tower key. Meanwhile, we find Coffee and Chocobos getting the pan from the top of Zot. So that is potentially a very nice key item, as that turns into two more between the Sylphs giving you something and Sheila giving you an item.
And it looks like the Magus Sister spot was Ogopogo, as Harumph is taking on that fight.
Maybe looking to power up their Fusoya a bit more, as it looks like around 1200 HP or so, Fusoya will learn Nuke, and that is a pretty big thing to get. Also, fun fact about Ogopogo, he's not weak to lightning. He just likes countering lightning with weak as a, oh yeah, no, I totally look like Leviathan. You should do the same things you did to Leviathan as you did to me. Though it does have the upside of, if you cast weak, or instead of casting, casting weak instead of casting Blaze, which is, Blaze is a 25% HP damage to all party members. It's an ice-based attack as well, which is even more confusing.
Yeah, Ogopogo, the majority of its collection of attacks is percentage based, and then it punch, and the punch is really where the nope comes in. But getting hit by two big waves for 25% each, and then two blazes for another 25% each, that's 100%. That's death.
Yep.
That's just basic math.
Ogopogo runs a little bit, but he still runs all the things down poorly for you. We do see Dark Kobold going to the Cave Magnus and is going to be checking music for us, which is something I'm sure everyone will. Meanwhile, we see Poydrak went and checked the Baron Throne and discovered that it was CPU, not something Poydrak wanted to deal with, so he reset.
One thing we do want to do is let y'all hear the music that Bedward will be playing in just a moment, as soon as Dark Kobold is done with the looting.
Indeed, and I did not catch what Coffee and Chocobos got from that pan. So if someone, if our tracker... Oh, they just... Okay. That is definitely not as nice as what they were hoping for, I imagine. So going to pay out is, it seems like that yeah, we get a life staff from the Sylphs and a crystal ring. And I also will now shut up, as DJ Spoonie Bee is going to show us his tunes. And Relking from chat pointing out that this is Over the Hills from Final Fantasy IX, the overworld theme when you're in the Mist Continent, I believe.
Yeah, and a nice tune at that. Good energy. Good for a fight against Paladin.
And poor Paladin be finding themselves in a very unpleasant situation, as I believe I saw that Rosa get Artemis arrows and the samurai bow, and Rosa is choosing to rain death down from above. And while Dark Kobold is doing Twin Harp, Coffee and Chocobos is going and doing Dwarf Castle.
Finding a much more threatening moon boss.
And speaking of moon, we've got a darkness crystal at the Twin Harp.
So as if the Twin Harp wasn't required for an objective, it's now even more required.
Indeed, and it's behind a keyless tower. If a tower key is now on the moon, which is not an unreasonable thing to have happen based on the number of checks we have, that's going to go and keep our runners a tower for a while. And there's our Cecil. And Coffee and Chocobos is struggling very hard to figure out who to ditch, and they ditch Edward. Edward doesn't really get a lot of great HP growth, so if you want to go and have Edward in the party. Also, everyone is dead and he's fighting evil. Maybe Coffee and Chocobos is making the temporary play as well, where it's, I need to get through this fight now. Let me go and get a good fighter in here now.
Yeah, Evil Wall after Wyvern is a little precarious, I dare say. Looks like Coffee and Chocobos was even considering throwing that spoon just to be safe.
Definitely understandable. This is unfortunately not going to go well for Coffee and Chocobos, and that's a wipe.
That is a wipe.
Wyvern at Calbrana's spot is incredibly rude, as Calbrana, unlike Golbez, does not have a joke for a magic stat. Calbrana actually has a good magic stat because they go and use status effects that need to land. You need to have some Star Veils up for that Wyvern if you want to go into the next fight with a party.
Yeah, and ideally that's Star Veils plural. Coffee and Chocobos was only able to get that one off. That's why all he had was the Edge and the Cecil joined in. We'll see if Dark Kobold is able to handle the situation any better.
Yeah, the Wyvern is always rude. The ready for, I'm going to go and get my entire party melted. And
meanwhile, Poydrak has cleared out the top of Zot.
That will go in net Pan, and then a life staff and a crystal ring. So, not progress, definitely a bit of a time loss, but those items are kind of nice. As let's be entirely, crystal ring is really helpful. It's very high defense, very high magic defense, and it gives +5 agility. Definitely something you're not going to go and say no to. Coffee and Chocobos making the decision of, yes, the spoon is perfectly valid to use right now.
Yeah, pretty good at trivializing that fight.
The spoon for you absolutely positive goodbye to one enemy.
It looks like Dark Kobold is getting the same good luck in that Edge is getting a Star Veil up quickly. So we'll be able to do that throw if he decides that's what he has to do. Also, he gets one off on Fu.
That is definitely something you're going to go and be happy about, as Fusoya has Nuke. He's going to be able to take care of that fight with Nuke and save that spoon that Dark Cobalt doesn't have, because Dark Cobalt hasn't gone and done the Sheila 1 check, I believe.
Yeah, I believe you are correct. And our tracker agrees because it's not highlighted for him.
And saying goodbye to Pelham, I'm interested in that, as I would have expected Tella to get the boot, as maybe he's the anchor for this team. But you can go and get a lot of check from Fusoya, especially in the form of, say, a D-Machine grind.
Yeah, I feel like this is an investment in Fu's black spells and saying, yeah, Quake Kid is nice, but don't need him right now. We need the physical damage.
Very true. And it looks like from Dwarf Castle, from either Dwarf Castle or the warp check, we got Hook. I was unable to go and see that, but hopefully we'll be able to go and catch it here.
And yeah, it was the warp that got us the hook. So 2 of our objectives were required regardless. Well, required for other objectives, I guess.
Yeah,
the hook, whatever.
And a Zeus Gauntlet is definitely something you're going to be happy to go and put on someone, as, yeah, looking goodbye to the good gear on Edge, hello to the good gear on Cecil, because, hey, let's go and take that 150 attack power weapon and throw a few extra attack multipliers with it. And Dark Kobold now going and had 2 dwarf axes, so their Excalibur moved to a different location to confuse them for a moment.
Yeah, just setting up that back row glitch on Cecil so that he'll be able to do full damage no matter where in the party he's standing. After a few levels, he ends up being a better choice for the front row anyway, just because of that HP pool. Better to have him be a tank compared to, your mages. But in the interim, like throw him wherever. It doesn't matter anymore.
And you can also go and throw him in the back row and have him tank hits for the whole party because of that lovely cover ability. You might not be able to berserk Cecil in the meantime, but if you have him going and taking all the damage for the whole team, maybe you don't really mind too much about it. Meanwhile, Poidrak unfortunately took a wipe to that nasty Wyvern Evil Wall combo and is going straight back in, while Coffee and Chocobos is in Feymarch, I believe. Throwing up Piggy spells, and I believe he's going to throw out some Size spells. We're going to go and see a bit of the status priority going on here today.
Yep, the Golbez fight starts off with that paralysis cast to make everyone stay put and listen to his incessant monologue. But if you're small or pig, you are immune to it, and you can just do your thing.
Indeed, there's a priority for applying statuses, so it's mostly known in the Dr. Lugay fight, where he opens up by poisoning your entire team, and you can no longer berserk people. You can also use it for your advantage here, where if you're already afflicted with a higher status, then you can't go and get afflicted with paralysis. It looks like Golbez is cooperating with Coffee and Chocobo's team as down goes Tella, but also there goes, I believe, the Fusoya is in the top slot. That was Riza on the bottom. And now we're seeing the power of that not getting paralyzed as both the remaining party members were able to reliably get a Star Bell off. Golbez is going to be going and checking a bunch of spells. Did I say Golbez would be checking a bunch of spells? I mean Golbez and Fusoya would be going and checking a bunch of spells, because why not go and let Fusoya go and throw out his nukes and fires?
I mean that's a thing they do. They cast spells together. They just happen to all be hitting Golbez this time. But still, it's nice to see the teamwork.
It is the Lunarian dream work, or the Lunarian teamwork makes the Lunarian dream work. Talking is hard.
It is. It is.
Also, we're trying to get the third Lunarian up, as Cecil would probably really like some experience from this fight. And I think we're pretty close to the point where Golbez is going to be asking, why is it pick on Golbez Day? Golbez answering that question because it's Golbez pick on Cecil Day.
Yeah, that's a very rude thing to do to a pig paladin. A pigaladin, I guess.
I mean, it is Golbez's, though. It's hard to say that Golbez isn't entirely wrong in that, but
well, regardless, Coffee and Chocobos has gotten through that fight and only gets a moon veil for his efforts.
that unfortunately kind of hurts. What at least is somewhat merciful is the fact that Cecil is going to be able to make the other fight very quick and easy.
Yep, since we do have free bosses enabled, just have to withstand a few whacks from Yang and then have Paladin and Cecil bop him over the head, and you're done.
Yep, that is definitely a very, very nice benefit from having Cecil on the blue planet.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to weather some substantial bops. Since that slot hits hard.
Yep, the bot does not like to go and pull their punches, it seems, and Yang wholeheartedly agrees. Oh, that is not progress, but it's still progress. Your reward for having Cecil is an even better Cecil.
Also, Poydrak went and showed one of the healing pots that you basically never see, because the moment you walk into that room in Damsian, you get this hovercraft cutscene, and there's not much reason to go back.
Yeah, that is a pot you would only really find yourself using on things like Cata Seeds, where you didn't turn on S cabins because you really didn't like the idea of giving yourself any breaks.
What? I don't know. Between that and the pot in the underworld, there's, I don't know, how many cabins do you really need?
When I'm down in the bottom of the lunar subterrane, 5. Or more specifically, 5 more than I have.
Valid.
turns out tents, they can pass in a pinch, but it's a really big pinch, and it's a very generous definition of passing.
I think Harump just found crystal armor in the sealed cave.
It's nice armor. I believe we found some crystal armor somewhere else, as I think Dark Cobalt or Cecil with some. Cecil's strongest armor, second strongest the chest piece in the game, but it does have the minor annoyance of blocking Berserk, which is definitely not how you want to go and have that go.
Yeah, but it does have the fairly strong benefit of selling for a lot of money.
Which is pretty helpful when your shops can go and sell things that cost a lot of money. Like, I believe we have seen some of our runners pick up power shirts from a shop in Tamra. And those power shirts are definitely very nice. They are plus 15 strength, so if you want to go and get your Crystal Sword Cecil swinging even harder, that will definitely let you do that.
And we have Odin guarding the sealed cave.
Ow.
Yeah, this is, for the record, a fairly fast spot.
It is a fairly fast spot that is also incredibly high magic power, which Odin's gimmick is he hits you 3 times, then he pulls up his sword saying, I'm going to go hit you with a sword, which is a lie. He's going to cast a spell called Intensikin that does a magic-based damage, and here it's probably going to do a lot.
Those are big numbers indeed.
But thanks to the wonder of push speed to jump, Edge was able to get into the air and dodges Zentetsuken twice.
Though, of course, if you have an Edward, he can just hide and dodge everything forever.
And Edward could not go for 3. The special thing about that sword raise is on the 3rd sword raise, you can go and instantly kill Odin with any thunder spell. It is the Thunderstruck Odin strategy. It's very finicky to pull off because it gets set and unset, so it's very easy to miss, especially on high battle speeds. But if you can do it, you just need to go and have anyone throw something like a Throw Rage. So if you anchor and change things around, you might be able to pull it off here. Alternatively, we can also see if did Edge have a Thunderclaw, or is Edge just simply doing that much damage with his normal weapons?
I believe he's just doing that much damage normally.
Which makes a lot of sense, because Thunderclaws are, on S Standard, they're not too hard to find, but on S Wild, you get a lot of options in shops, which can sometimes work against you because you don't necessarily get all of the options you want.
Mm-hmm. Chad asking if it's possible to do that in the vanilla game. Certainly, partly because of this jumping sort of thing. If you can have Kane up in the air consistently, he would be in the party at the times that he would go fight Odin. There's also other approaches using Rydia and whatnot. So it is finicky again, but it's in the game for a reason. It is possible.
Yep, this is not something we've added to the vanilla game. This is not, board has not gone and altered boss scripts, with the exception of Wyvern if we apply the Witchburn or Wyvern flag. But otherwise, all the scripts are the same. And Harum's going and getting that Odin taken down with a jump from Cecil. Meanwhile, Hoydrak and Coffee and Chocobos have both discovered where that Twin Harp is and are going to pass that in and finish one of their objectives. And Dark Cobalt is going to go down and discover that Odin as well. So our runners are crisscrossing now and are going to be getting to the moon close to the same time. And Coffee and Chocobos is discovering that he is unfortunately the victim of a falcon stealing his spot. And also showing off that there's a Chocobo Forest just south of Troya. If you didn't know about that Chocobo Forest, you're probably not the only one because I've never seen it myself.
And Pordak was showing off there's loot in the Chocobo forests, which is not always very useful, but if you're doing T Wild and feel desperate, then hey, there's stuff there.
Yeah, and on T Pro and T Wildish, those one-off Chocobo Forest spots do get weighted a bit higher, so you might see the runners dipping in there on occasion for other times. And Harump is going down into the land of summoned monsters and is going to go and get the two fights that provide some level of benefit. The Moonveil, as much as I like to go and say it's not really that helpful, is actually pretty helpful when you have a Cecil and can just negate all physical damage. It's just going to go and be a rare situation where you need to go and do that when your team is going to go and be getting good levels. But for the reprise of music, I will be quiet again. And Portrak showing off, you don't actually have to go and do the fight. You can just jump out. The door will take you back to Edward's bed, but the exiting the room will go and take you back into where you're supposed to be. But exit will take you out of the cave itself.
Yeah, it's not the full force you to avoid that skip, but it's something. It's the best we can do. We still made them go. We still made them play music.
It's less of a skip and more of a hop at this point, but that does mean Poidrak and Coffee and Chocobos have their Darkness Crystal. I don't remember if they went and cleared their sealed cave yet, but they are also, well, they do need to go to the ribbon spot and clear that. But after that, I believe we are looking for a rat tail, which is something, unless I'm terribly mistaken, will be on the moon based on the spots we have seen so far.
Yeah, I do believe we have seen everything on the Earth at this point.
Just remembered, we saw that there's a CPU at the Baron Throne, the Baron Basement, but was not fought. And while we do theoretically need a Baron Key on Push Speed to Jump, theoretically means it's just minorly suggested and you can walk your way in there one of a dozen ways.
So yeah, there is still the possibility that the rat tail is on the Earth, but the game is going to expect you to go to the moon right about now. Instead, Poidrak's going to the giant for what I can only assume is a meaningful grind.
Getting levels on a Cecil with a Crystal Sword will probably make a lot of things very trivial on the moon. And considering the bosses we've seen, maybe you just go and check the element spot to see if you can get something nice and free there.
Yeah, there's not a lot of free bosses left. I'm trying to think if there are any. But there's certainly better ones to find.
I believe we still have Baron Guards and Officer Soldier fight for free fights, but we have seen Dark Imps.
Officer Soldier we found in the Mist Cave. But yes,
Ah.
Water Hag is another very free one available to us. So lower percentage play, but if you can get it, that is a ton of free experience.
Yep, and we see some spells getting moved around, so let's go and see. And we also see that Podrek has a level 5 Edward, so we see a reset coming out, so I think Podrek is just going to go for the straight up D machine grind. And that fight, looks like it's going to be the second fight in this room or the third fight in the next room.
Yeah, finding that D machine fight is pretty specific. There are charts, there are graphs, I assume. There's plenty of game knowledge that goes into just finding the correct fight.
Yes, it's particularly important for D machine because there are two fights that look the same. It's with this formation, this alert can either summon a D machine or it can summon a mechanical centaur, one of which is a lot more experienced than the other.
Yeah, that centaur is also just not as easy to handle. The D machine, though, folks have got it down to a science.
Yes, as we said, the D machine does fire, which is reliable 20% of your health, max HP, damage all the time. D machine is going to do nothing but that. Unless you swing at it and don't kill it, then it's going to punch back, and that's how your D machine grind goes off the rails.
Yeah, I would strongly, as a piece of life advice, generally speaking, I would recommend not being punched by a mechanical dragon. It hurts a lot.
You know, that sounds like a good piece of life advice. Meanwhile, see that Harump is gone and is, I believe they are now walking out of their Tower of Lower Babel and going to have their Twin Tower to be going and getting their Darkness Crystal, while Coffee and Chocobos is finishing off the Luca Key and will be finishing off, has got that objective done, so they'll be on their way to their next objective, which I believe at this point is going to be Ribbon Altar and the Rat Tail trade-in.
Yep, we'll get to see in mere moments what Coffee and Chocobos plans to do in terms of a grind.
And Dark Cobalt is getting rid of their Fusoya and choosing to pick up an Edward, it looked like.
Yeah, that's the trade-off being made there. That spoon must be very alluring.
I'm rather surprised that with the number of bosses Dark Cobalt has killed, he kept Fusoya rather than kept Tella over Fusoya. As yeah, that's definitely a change in power. I guess he might be more interested in having Tella as an anchor. Though Tella is level 25, he's not going to be that slow, to be entirely honest, unless we get a curse ring on him. And if you have a curse ring, you can also curse ring Fusoya. I am very curious as to what is driving this decision.
Oh, no, it looks like Coffee and Chocobos is gonna pick up Iridia, and I strongly suspect that's his anchor plan.
That is definitely going to be a very good anchor, as Rydia starts with 4 agility. Without a curse string, you're not going to be able to get anyone lower, I think.
Yeah, four is about as low as it gets. She starts at level 1. Aside from when Cecil becomes a paladin, no other character is level 1 ever.
We'd like to go and keep that number not just for vanity, but functionally it is just for vanity. Most characters join at level 10. The exceptions being Fusoya, who joins at level 50, Tella, who joins at level 20, Sid, who joins at level 20, and Edge, who joins at level 25. And with this, we see Coffee and Chocobos going and unlocking their lunar whale. They might be the first to the moon. They might be going to do their own D-Machine grind. That could be another reason why Coffee and Chocobos knocked out that Rydia. Wanted to make sure that Rydia definitely stayed more than 5 levels behind the median and wanted to get a second nuke caster. But Poydrak has finished off their D-Machine grind, and I believe they have some very powerful characters now. I see a level 50 Cecil. A level 50 Cecil with with a crystal sword and a power shirt and a Zeus gauntlet.
I saw a level 59 Bard.
That's a Bard who's gonna have more than 1,000 HP.
Meanwhile, Poydrak showing us the fast way out of the giant, just jumping over everything. Coffee and Chocobos jumping his way into the lunar subterrane. Dark Kobold taking that last accessible fight on the Earth. So this CPU, for all we know, this could be valuable.
Agreed, as Rat Tails could be anywhere. There's nothing that is going to be gating. And yeah, if Dark Kobold finds it here, Dark Kobold is definitely having an advantage over his opponents, as his opponents are going to the moon.
So yeah, this one is a question of convenience versus probability. With how many things are left and how many boss fights are left, it's probably on the moon, or at least requires a moon visit. But that takes time and effort, the fights are harder. So do you take the low chance, easy option, or do you go with the higher chance, harder option?
Yeah, that is always a hard check, and CPU is a safe fight usually. Then again, when you see Cecil jumping for 7,000 damage, I guess you can also decide that it's not that slow.
Yeah, when you're pushing 7k on an attack, almost every boss is a fast boss.
And you don't have to worry about the back row bit because, well, Cecil's going to go and be doing a good amount of damage. And Jump doesn't really care about which row you're in. It just does damage. Well, Dark Kobold unfortunately did not get the payout they wanted, and they will be joining the rest of the party on the moon, or the rest of the runners on the moon, as that's the only place we have left.
Yep, Coffee and Chocobos went directly for the objective, running to the ribbon altar and finding Octomam.
Not the worst fight, but also a bit of an annoying fight for the specific reason that Octomam has holy resistance. Not 100% certain why, but he is weak to dark damage, which is something that goes and helps early in the game when Cecil is supposed to go and be doing damage on the team, and we all know that Dark Knight Cecil struggles with that whole damage idea.
Yep, it's an elemental alignment that's really more about gameplay than any narrative sense. Why a holy octopus? I guess, sure, maybe, but really, it's just to make that fight make more sense.
Yeah, it's very hard to go and think of a holy octopus because he's well, all he's doing is getting cut down to size.
You're really looking for a pun in that one, weren't you?
I was really looking to go and pull out some terrible pun there, and I just couldn't go and think of one. I put in a whole lot of effort and got a whole lot of nothing. Dark Kobold is now going and going to turn in their pan and is going to go and get the crystal ring. Meanwhile, Coffee and Chocobos is through the required ribbon spot fight, and I believe they are just up to they just need to trade in their rat tail wherever it is. Hey, there's the tail room. Hold on. Are we 3 for 3 on required spots?
Arguably, yeah. Yeah. The sealed cave had the hook that we did need for another objective. Ribbon Altar gave us the rat tail, and the music gave us the darkness crystal. So, yeah. In terms of, our other objectives, you had to do them to do them.
The only thing left is that, is the rat tail going to go and give us the pass just to make this extra, just to be the extra bit?
I will actually burst out laughing.
Now, what are you going to burst out laughing for the pink tail giving? Because let's go and throw out some guesses. I'm going to guess Crystal Sword because why not?
Well, adamants are on, so I think guessing that'll be the adamant is a safe estimate.
Killjoy. Look, I'm not used to this whole adamant armor thing. That's a scary and wild thing for me to even consider. I may or may not spend too much time without adamants being in existence.
Well, the real question is, who are you going to put that adamant armor on?
That is a good question. If you only have one power shirt, you probably go and put it on Cecil and move the power shirt to Edge. I don't know if you really want to waste time casting nukes in a Zeromus fight when you have a Crystal Sword Adamant Cecil. And there's Coffee and Chocobos getting their crystal. Podrak has acquired their rat tail and is going to be coming from behind, coming up, and it's the tower key. So you could gamble that the pass is behind the tower key, but I don't think you save enough time. One, if it is, and if it isn't, you definitely don't save enough time. And wow, you are really good at this guessing game. It was in fact an adamant armor.
Who knew?
I certainly didn't. Reading flags, what's that? So I believe Coffee and Chocobos skipped any grinding, so they need to go and take care of that now. And Podrak, in the meantime, needs to go and clear the sealed cave, which I expect Podrak is going to go and have a much easier time with that, as he has an extremely high-level party.
Yeah, Podrak is in a pretty good spot on that front. We'll see how much Coffee and Chocobos feels like they need to do.
And if you're feeling really daring, I guess you can throw the adamant armor on your Fasoya and just rely on him for the fight. Though you would need some MP restore.
Yeah, a good stack of ethers. If you do that, then yeah, your nukes are hitting for a ton. Your cures are taking care of everything. But Podrak has gone for the Bard tank, putting that adamant armor on Eddie.
Well, if there's something that's going to help Eddie survive a Big Bang, it would be that adamant armor, because lots of magic defense, lots of stats to go and get another magic evade multiplier, which could help. So there's a lot of things you can do. Speaking of things getting done, we have Dia coming in first place with a time of 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 12 seconds, as Dia is our first dot done for this race. Congratulations to Dia.
And I kind of have to point out, with 1 hour 15 minutes in, looking at the key item inventories, we've gotten a lot in a fairly short amount of time. That's the sort of thing push B to jump can allow you to do.
Yeah, we're able to skip a number of bosses, and that's definitely something that will go and help out just getting through the game very quickly. And we see Coffee and Chocobos is going and doing a bit of a gold dragon grind. I believe they must have, well, very reliably have a siren somewhere in their inventory, at least one, maybe two. And we see just the week coming out, not getting a life glitch off on them, which is unfortunate, as that is a good chunk of experience.
Yeah, that life glitch is enabled and just means that it basically brings the enemy back to life, but in a way that also kills them again immediately. So, hey, double experience.
Indeed. The life 1 spell works off of your vitality stat, where you go and get, when you come back up, you get 5 times your vitality stat as HP, which if you have something like a heroin robe on a level 1 Rydia, you can revive her in the menu and see that, why does my Rydia have 150 HP? Other times, you can try and revive a party member who has a curse string and discover that they're just not getting up in the middle of combat because they had exactly 15 vitality before you put on the curse string, and then they went straight down to 0 vitality, which is the perfect number to go and get 0 health back when you use a life potion on someone. And turns out all the enemies have 0 vitality.
Yep, every enemy in the game, they're not coded to have a vitality stat, it turns out.
Turns out that's not very vital, but what is vital is whose butt are we going to be kicking tonight?
Yes.
But why would I ask something like that?
Well, because it's important to know that sort of thing in your day-to-day life, and also because we've randomized the sprite that Zeromus will be taking on after we use the crystal. Doesn't change any of the fight itself, just changes the look, and is a good source of humor at times. Occasionally a source of terror, but usually humor.
Sometimes it's just absolutely adorable. What's your favorite sprite to see? I have a soft spot for Trombone Miss after seeing it a few times.
I've always been a fan of the Zeromus, which is just the number 0.
Always a classy one. Though I have to admit, I am also fond of Zeromus, who is 0 from Mega Man X.
But of course, in order to see that butt, we have to use that crystal, which will be one of 2 contributions that Rydia makes to this fight.
Oh, come now. Being at 4 agility is a fantastic contribution throughout the entirety of this fight, even if she is going and examining the floor very carefully.
And it's Risky Boots from Shantae.
Make some risky bets and go and get a risky fight. So I think with Adamant Armor, Crystal Sword, and Cecil, there's not really a lot of risk in this fight, so...
Yeah, this is looking like a pretty sure thing.
Another sure thing is Jeebus has come in 2nd place with a time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 3 seconds, and Chokosura has come in 3rd place with a time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 51 seconds, so GDs to both of them. We'll see if Coffee and Chocobos can go and steal 4th, or if someone else is going to be going and stealing it from them. Meanwhile, Poydrak is running straight down the lunar subterranean, while Harumph is going and taking a fight in the lunar subterranean. I'm not 100% certain it is, because it's, well, the only fight the other runners we saw, Coffee and Chocobos and Poydrak, did were the ribbon spot fight, as that was the one where it was required, and it was super required because it also gave both tails.
Yeah, I believe Harumph is over at Cave Bahamut. I think I saw him there earlier. could very well still be hunting for like that tower key or that earth crystal, since they don't have everything they need quite yet. But at the very least, it's a decent grind fight.
Yeah, it'll definitely give a bit of experience. The Dark Elf is going to steal a bit of that experience because when it's split between two forms, you don't get all the experience. Wait, sure, it's not bad. It's definitely a very nice piece of equipment for Rosa, but it is not the piece of equipment Harumph needed, as Harumph just needs that rat tail, I believe. I believe that was an unnerfed Big Bang, but the entire party, Coffee and Chocobo's entire party survives, which is definitely working out nicely for Coffee and Chocobo's, as that is a scary... Sub 2k is a pretty scary amount of HP to have in Zerome's fight sometimes.
Yep, absolutely. It can be kind of risky. One high roll and you're in rough spot.
Yeah, that is definitely something that's really rough to go and get through.
But hey, there's rocks falling for Coffee and Chocobos. The bursts are coming out. Should see a finish any moment from here. And there it is.
And that is Coffee and Chocobo's finishing with an official time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 57 seconds, taking 5th place, as Fluttery 14 stole 4th place from them with a time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 52 seconds. GG to Coffee and Chocobos, and we'll see if we can get them in for an interview. And I believe we're joined by them now. Congratulations, Coffee and Chocobos. Looking at that seed and the flags, what were some of your thoughts going into this race?
Well, I had done a practice seed before this, and I thought I would try to look for that twin harp as soon as possible and get that out of the way. Obviously, it didn't come until much later, until I checked Keyless Tower. But in general, I have a lot of experience running jump seeds, so I wanted to beef up my team, get some characters. The underground character, the hook character, didn't help me a whole lot. But when I got around to Dwarf Castle with that Cecil and the Excal, that's when things really started to break open.
Did you find yourself changing any of the routing because of the objectives? You said you did a fair amount of push B to jump, and were kind of forcing you away from the skips you might otherwise have taken.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into Cave Magnes until I had the Twin Harp, obviously, because that's a long walk to go back. Even though it did hold the Darkness Crystal, it doesn't make sense to go there first and then have to go back again just to finish up an objective, unless you magically get a pass, and you can't count on that in seeds like this.
Yeah, that's very true. That pass was definitely buried somewhere, and you did go end up checking a lot of places. How were you feeling after you almost full cleared the overworld, did you not?
Yeah, I was holding off on that Baron Inn spot because I saw that gauntlet sitting there, and I'm like, I don't have a way to do this really quickly. Edge's Flame isn't strong enough to take out all of those mobs, I don't think. And I went Fey March, never Fey March, even though it turned up a Crystal Sword. It didn't really help me other than that. Fortunately, Golbez went okay, and then the boss next to him, I forget who it was, it went pretty smoothly.
It was Yang, so
oh,
yeah,
that's right.
Cecil at that point, that's easy.
Chopped him down. Yeah, it was a coin flip between Keyless Tower and the Gauntlet, and I went good old Keyless Tower.
Can't really blame you on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just want to interrupt and mention Poidrak has also finished, taking 7th place with a 125.50. So we've had Zilch take 6th, Pankraz, taking 8th, Twisted Flax hitting 9th, and Dr. Cossack in 10th. So we're seeing a nice cluster of finishes.
It sure seemed everybody had the go mode all about the same time with that the string of finishes I saw from 1st to 5th.
Yeah, how did you feel when the three of your required objectives that didn't gate something led to another part of the chain, in a sense?
I mean, that was pretty neat. It's always nice to see your objective checks pay off. And then when I went for that, when I finally got that darkness crystal and went to the moon and saw both the rat tail and the pink tail in the ribbon spot, it was like jackpot.
Yeah, that was a very, very, that room had a neon flag on it, and it seems that a lot of people were catching it. Any final thoughts before we let you go?
Not really. Just, it seems like getting restreamed is a good luck charm for me. I didn't end up getting first this time, but first out of the restreamed runners was pretty fun. Thanks to the restream team and the commentary team and our trackers. Everybody does a dynamite job making sure that these runs are awesome for everyone.
Thank you for letting us restream you. Without you, we wouldn't go and have something to. Without you, we wouldn't have a show to put on. So, thank you for volunteering.
Anytime, as long as that good luck streak keeps up, I don't mind.
All right, have a great evening.
Thanks, you too.
All right, and with that, we have Poydrak in the room, our 2nd place on the stream, 7th overall. Poydrak, GG.
Wait, I'm hearing voices. Where did they come from?
They come from the internet.
Wait.
I know, it's terrifying.
No.
So,
I mean,
so
the worst voices.
So first off, I want to congratulate and thank you for giving Edward the spoon and the adamant armor as nature intended.
Well, when Godwood comes down and wants to smite everyone, you allow it. You don't say no. Yeah. We had them both, why not? But Rat Tail and Pink Tail in the same room, is that allowed?
Apparently.
In general, how did you feel about having those objectives lead to each other?
I had an inkling in the back of my mind that it was going to be that way, but I wasn't expecting it, but I had a feeling it was going to happen. I'm not too sure why.
I was pretty, when Twin Harp led to darkness, we were impressed. When the Sealed Cave had Hooked, we were surprised. When Ribbon had Rat Tail and Pink Tail, we were just saying, oh, come on.
Yeah, there was a whole load of running around for pretty much nothing in the end, and all those other places that were on the table just weren't required. And it's like, well, okay. What can you do about that, really? I know it's a randomizer, it's going to randomize everything, but you think there's going to be a change somewhere, and it just didn't happen today.
Yeah, even the chance of a chain from that Baron that you totally did fairly and honestly, giving that pan leading to 2 items was, or 2 non-key items was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, but that's the way sometimes the items fall. You can't really plan anything, you just go through it and see how things are going to turn up, and today, this is how they landed.
So speaking of landing, have you done a lot of the push B to jump, and how is this compared to other runs of it?
I am somewhat of an aficionado about it. You might have noticed a few places that other people might not have gone to, such as the Talking Frog,
A little bit of goofing, yes.
yeah, the back of the Crystal Room in Upper Babel, which unfortunately is getting fixed, and a few others, but. Yeah, I enjoy Push B to jump. It's a different spin on how you would do a seed normally, and it's just a whole lot of fun. And it adds a little bit of nuance to it. It takes away some overpowered natures of some characters, and really builds up others. And just being able to find some early shops in the underground, you want some money, but you don't have a lot of spaces if you want to go down there early. So decision making, you have to change your mindset a little bit.
I think you certainly showed that off pretty well, as you were pretty efficiently clearing a lot of stuff. You were one of the first people underground and just going and hitting those checks, just clearing everything you can without needing to fight. So definitely a lot of nice, efficient routing on your side today, I believe.
Yeah, the only thing I sort of do regret is actually looking into all those shops, seeing lots of really nice items, but never actually really buying anything. I'm almost certain I bought no really big items, apart from that one power shirt.
I think the power shirt was the biggest thing that most people bought, and we're in a similar situation. You did go and find an X scale and then a crystal sword, so I can see it very easy to say, I don't really need anything.
I didn't find a crystal sword, only the X scale, and that was from Baron. The Baron pot, was it?
Right, excuse me. That was the Young at Ashura had the crystal sword, and you did manage to avoid that, which a number of other people did not.
I thought about going to do that because of Cecil, but I thought, no, I've got other things to do. But yeah, that's how it is today.
Well, do you have any final thoughts on the seed before we let you go?
Nothing in particular. All I can say is jump to it, people. Play this randomizer. Have fun.
That's certainly something I can get behind. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah. Have a good evening, everyone.
All right, and with that, we are joined by Dark Kobold. He's coming third on the restream and 13th overall. Dark Kobold, how do you feel about your run through that particular seed?
Seeing the location of the rat tail on the moon was definitely a headbanger. I assume anybody who went early moon was just set to go so early.
Well, if anyone went early moon, we didn't see them on the stream. I feel like a lot of people cleared out a fair amount of the Earth first.
Yeah, I definitely committed to the full Earth clear. There was nothing left before I went to the moon, so I was feeling way behind when I saw that rat tail. And then I was like, okay, only one person is finished, and then they all just came in like a stream.
Yeah, that I imagine there was a lot of players who went in last location, the Darkness Crystal, got to the moon, and then decided, I'm going to do the required check, because that required check also has 2 key items. So, let's just simply go and hit that, and there's everything I could ever want for a Z fight.
It just seems like one of those things where when you commit to the early moon, you're just like haunted by it. And so I have taken the strategy of always full clear Earth.
That is a perfectly reasonable approach. Like I was mentioned when we saw you hitting up a CPU, that is the faster of your options. And sometimes that is the one that ends up paying out. Didn't in this case, but it didn't put you that terribly far behind either.
Well, and when you see, there's no pass, you're feeling like, okay, I'm just gonna have to walk the moon twice if it's there, um, or if it's like tower key leading to it. It's just you're heading back to Earth unless you find it up there. So it just seemed the play and didn't turn out that time.
Yeah, it gets really rough with. Again, clearing the moon is definitely a very long investment. You will get very powerful, but you'll also spend a lot of time doing it. So your thoughts are very understandable on how to approach that.
But overall, it was fun.
Do you have any special thoughts for the push B to jump flag sets in these types of races?
I just like how much it changes routing. I really think that it leads to a lot more openness in the early game. I mean, there's only something like 5 key items actually locked by requiring other key items. And so you have so many options open to you, aside from the moon, of course, that locks a lot of things. But if you get an early darkness crystal, everything but 5 is open. So it leads to way more interesting routing than kind of what we saw during the tournament, which is Antlion first, then sometimes Fabul, and then Ordeals, Baronin was kind of always my route, whereas here it just feels like I'm all over the map, never predictable.
That's definitely a very fair way of approaching this, because you did have a lot of options, and you did open up early. You were the first person to find the Darkness Crystal. Darkness Crystal was pretty much everyone else's last location, or close to the last location on Earth, so
Where did
there were a lot of options.
Oh, I found it at the top of tower, didn't I?
Yes, well, specifically, you found the Twin Harp at the top of tower, and the Twin Harp led to the Darkness Crystal. And because Twin Harp was
that's right.
required, no one wanted to walk into that cave twice.
Yeah, and that D-Lunar fight looked like it should have been much meaner than it was.
It still looked a bit mean.
I don't know if it was the rune ring, but I got protected against the breath, because that could have been really bad.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that rune ring will do the trick. It breath. If you block any one of the status elements, it'll block all of the status elements, and the rune ring does protect against silence.
I just was expecting it to be Wyvern, and I had that Grimoire ready to just get a double Mega Nuke, but it didn't turn out. Worked out anyway, but I guess I should have followed it.
Well, that's also something that, again, as you said, I went to the moon, I had nothing. Whoops. So
It happens too
one,
often.
a half dozen the other.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you for going and letting us show your stream. It's always helpful, always great to go and have content from people running these races.
Well, have a good night.
You too.
And as we're through all that, Harumph has made it to the Zeromus fight and is now just taking out the damage, doing some reflects, and just letting Cecil do what Cecil does.
Turns out Crystal Sword Cecil is in fact slightly overpowered.
Just a little.
Because unless I'm mistaken, Crystal Sword Cecil was doing a bit more damage than that Fusoya with Nuke. And that is something which, poor Kane. Kane has his supposed ultimate weapon of the White Spear and is doing 2,000 points of damage a swing. Cecil has his ultimate weapon of the Crystal Sword and is doing 6,000 damage a swing. I think you can tell who the developer's favorite is.
Well, it's also, we might know who the Adamant Armor is on. Because, that's plus 15 to every single stat, including your strength. And that's kind of important, it turns out.
Yeah, every 8 strength is 1 attack multiplier, and every 16 agility is another attack multiplier, so that just gives a rather high amount of attack power, all things considered. But yeah, Risky Miss is just Risky Miss took the risky bet of showing up today and is not paying off. Even Rose is getting in on the action of just going and pouring on the damage.
Yeah, it ain't much, but 800 damage. Might as well add to the pile.
Running out of mana on Fusilius, so going in doing the easy ether strat, and there is the crack and the boom, and Riskiness crumbles before the might of this party. GG to Harumph. We will go and get them in here shortly.
Yep, Harumph takes 14th place overall. Official time of 1:41:50.
There's definitely a lot of tricks to go and do these seeds, and the top places definitely went and had a lot of familiar names there, but it's always nice to see some new names showing up here. Well, that does bring us to the end of our seed for this weekly community race. That is something that's been a pretty interesting and fun flag set.
Yeah, well, we have Harumph here. So, Harumph, how did you feel about that that flag set this evening?
I thought that was a fairly strange one, actually. Here, it felt like, well, maybe because of the routing I took here, it felt forever here to kind of get going here. But once you actually got to the, the first two here felt like they took forever. Like in going through, getting the first two items here. Objectives here, and then like the last two are pretty much like right there here at the ribbon spot. Yeah, I thought I went through to tackle that a little bit slowly, more so, I guess, not as quickly as I would have liked to have.
Yeah, it wound up being a set of objectives that, each one of them fed into each other, but you just had to make the right choice to get things going, and then to follow on one after another, which was not an obvious decision at any point.
No, and like I think it's something about me and push B to jump flags here, which I guess the board AI doesn't like me in terms of the seeder. I'll have a talk with him later.
Have a talk with Dathis while you're at it. With all the vanilla that we had.
Yeah, I'm going, yeah, vanilla. Yeah.
But have you done a number of these push B to jump? Did this one feel any different because of those objectives, or?
I think there's a few things on which I may have faded initially here. Just that I'd rather do one trip than two. Like normally I would try to get the two characters fairly quickly. At Zot here, like maybe right at the beginning here, just to to beef up, try to beef up the party early, so you have more bodies to throw in front of your early bosses. So I was feeding a few of those here, but I generally was like, I think it was more actually the wild shop seed here. Maybe that could have thrown me off a little bit here in terms of trying to get some items here, just so I can find some items here to maybe buy some pretty sweet gear. Try to make the early going a little easier.
Yeah, that S Wild definitely went and promised a lot of things. How much do you feel you were able to go and extract from those shops?
Less than I would have liked. I think I've made use of like Bacchus wines and power shirts, and I'm not sure what else here. I think I bought a white spear here as well here, but it turned out I would have got one a little bit later on here. But yeah, at least getting a little bit of early power on Kane here.
Yeah, that early power on Kane can definitely be very important, because getting some early stuff going will go and help you out. Overall, though, was there anything that stood out to you as you really like to play, or something that was a fun moment for you in the seed?
More of a trolley moment here. The treasury. Even though
Yeah.
even though it's like a pro flag treasury set, that was probably the worst treasury I've seen ever.
Just not going being the treasure trove it's advertised to be.
Not this time, at least here. Next time here would be like 50. It'll be like, half crystal swords or something like that here. And the next one I end up playing.
Yeah, that standard flag does go, and it's just a chest, and all the chests are exactly the same. But still, that's still a very nice race, a very good run. Glad to go and see people coming out for these, and I hope you had a good time with this. Do you have any final thoughts on the seed?
No, I think I'm. I think I'm happy to have finished here. Not necessarily at the place I would have liked to, not as quickly as I would like to here, but finished. I'm gonna go enjoy, have a nice beverage and take it easy now.
Sounds like a great evening. I hope you go enjoy it, and thank you again for being restreamed. Without you, we wouldn't go and have a nice show to put on.
And without the team here, putting on the restreaming here, tracking and commentating here, we wouldn't be able to entertain the masses as well here. So thank you to you too.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Have a good night.
And yep, that will do it for us for this evening. On behalf of our restreamer Valva Skunk, our tracker Zarabora, and my fellow commentator Baka Shinobi, I want to thank you all for watching, and hope that if you enjoyed seeing what we had to put on, give these runners a follow the Free Enterprise channel. Like we said, we do these every Monday, every Friday, and we have various community club races that we do throughout the week as well. So there's always plenty of Free Enterprise out and about.
Indeed, and thank you, Huffin, for joining me on commentary. It's been a great evening. And we will be going...
Oh, let's go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I was going to go and say we're going to be going and sending you all on to Asuka24, who is going and learning Free Enterprise. Let's go and show them our love and let them help them learn Free Enterprise a bit more. Have a great evening.
Night, everybody.